I used to feel obligated to show the audience every stage of my art, from the preliminary sketch to the last brushstroke, from one layer to the next, from showcasing a challenge I would have otherwise handled privately to presenting a solution. But I realized that I have autonomy as an artist and that I get to choose what my audience has access to. I can choose not to share every moment of my art making process. I can give consent to the public to see the things I am willing to share. I can set boundaries. The topic of this video is inspired by the pressure artists face to create in front of a camera in the age of social media. We will identify who we are on camera for, explore why we publicly share our art and our creative process, determine the private moments that should be kept sacred, and how we can include our audience while still retaining our privacy and autonomy. Right now I'm working on a painting of my grandpa holding my baby cousin. Later I'm going to put like a piece of cardstock paper behind the painting to act as a border, and that cardstock paper will match the pink of these flowers. This painting looks almost finished, and yes, that is true, it's almost finished. However, there are some areas that I have to work on. For example, this hand is still developing. I've already added my values, and now I'm gonna go in to just add more detail and refine it. And then this hair, I don't really like what's going on in this hair because it looks pretty spiky, and I don't want spikiness. I want to make her hair softer. After all, she is a baby. And then I was told to leave this face. It looks undeveloped, unfinished, but I was told to leave this face because it just shows like the just baby face developing. So I might leave it as is because it's kind of cute. And then you have her little PJs. I might leave as is because again it's to emphasize like, the softness of her clothing. And then here I have a lime green all over the place in this suit. I wanted the lime green to match these little flower bulbs. However, I do want to make it more black because in this picture, my grandpa is wearing a black suit, and if I were to leave the suit as is, it would make it seem like he had like a funky taste in fashion, which he doesn't. He sticks more to like a classic side of fashion. So I might make this suit lean towards the black while still keeping the lime green to match with the hints. And then I'm gonna work on his face and possibly his suit. The audience. The audience. These two words jumble into one name, sound like an assigned name to a notorious group in a science fiction novel. Let's humanize the phrase by identifying who the audience is. The audience could be anyone who can publicly view your art online or in person. They could be family members peering over your shoulder, other artists who have stumbled across your art channel, potential customers who may have glanced and walked past your artwork, strangers watching you create at a park. But does that mean that anyone who has made eye contact with your artwork, your audience? No. I think that there needs to be a bridge, a consistent portal where your audience can have reliable access to you. And that portal is social media. An Instagram account that people can revisit. A reel that has attracted a new eye. Instagram stories posted in real time, showcasing what you were doing 5 minutes ago or what you are doing now. The accessibility of your posts, how often you post, and whether you post in real time provide people with consistent access to you. These bridges transform them into the audience, your audience. Suddenly, we feel an obligation to meet the gaze of the audience because they consistently meet ours. When we post a story, they watch. When we post on our main feed, we cross paths again. So, we set up a tripod over our art, our arms going through or around its stand to reach our artwork. Maybe the tripod is set up behind us, peering over our shoulders. If we do not have a tripod, we hold our phone in our hands, holding our hands steady, yet producing shaky footage, stopping our art making midway to switch up our angles. When we display ourselves with a camera, we change the way we make art to accommodate the camera. It is disruptive. It makes us feel watched even though we are actually alone. Our behavior changes, and we do things we normally would not, if it were not for our intentions of documenting ourselves. Why do we share our art? If sharing our art is an inconvenience, an intrusion to our privacy, and takes away valuable time and energy from our art, why do we share our art anyway? We want to be seen. I know that I want to be seen. First, I want to be seen as an artist, someone who can legitimately tell a story through her art. By legitimately, I just mean like someone who can direct the audience and steer them through the elements of a composition to communicate a story or an idea. Second, I want to be seen as a human who wants to share an experience, because I am sure my experiences are not a unique one. At first glance, this painting showcases an Asian American family, but also displays a relationship between a grandkid and a grandparent, possibly prompting someone to recall the relationship to their grandparent or child. Furthermore, this painting can be broken down into elements of warmth, expression, and color, different components that other people can resonate with. If we want to be seen, then we think that art is meant to be shared with others, like a large dish that is too overwhelming for one person. Art can possess a communal aspect, yet it remains so deeply personal that some artists can feel sensitive about sharing their work publicly. Now I want to take a dark color and just draw his eyes lines gracefully. What I really like about East Asian art is the way they draw lines, and it seems like it's one stroke, and that's what I really like. I don't think I can do that in one stroke. What I can do is just again mimic the gracefulness of the lines. And what's pretty tricky about drawing eyes like this, like when my grandpa looks down, right? It looks like his eyes are closed but are actually opened. I know that may seem like a wild statement, but it really isn't. I don't know if you can see, but you see that gap between his, this is the eyelids, and then here will be his eyes, right? That little yellow gap in between. I'm gonna go back and just emphasize the roundness here. Have you ever discovered something unexpected while creating your art, something new, and immediately you feel the urge to document it and share it? What happened to simply being able to exist with the development of your piece, to sit with it for a moment, pausing to enjoy it, or continuing to work on your piece after making that discovery? Why interrupt yourself or break that moment by reaching for your phone? These are the moments that should be kept sacred because they exist solely for you. The discovery, the visual imagery that yields surprise and pride in your ability has unraveled in front of you because you have made it so. They're not replicable no matter how much effort you put into making the art making process accessible to others. While an artistic breakthrough is exciting and unique, it's still just one step in the larger process of creation. It doesn't mean you stop simply because you reached it. It's still unfolding, still developing. Interrupting yourself to document or share prematurely disrupts your ability to think it through fully and continue moving forward. We still want to share our art with others, but we also want to reduce interruptions and maintain our privacy. Here are 3 tips to set boundaries and make that happen. Make reservations for the camera. The camera is an invited guest. You have the power to dictate whenever the camera is allowed into your space and witness you make art. If you give yourself 3 days a week to make art, dedicate one of those days to having the camera present. If you make art 3 hours a week, reserve 1 hour. If you make art only 45 minutes a week, put aside 12 minutes. No matter how much time you set aside for the camera, I truly believe that the minimum amount of time you can reserve is enough to immerse your audience into your art making process. Tread on and recap later. What if I told you that you could take a photo of something you're excited to share and explain the significance to your audience later? Yes, you can always recap what you've done later. For example, after having a fulfilling studio session, you can share with your audience the changes that have taken place. They do not need to witness how the changes came about in real time. You can offer your audience a more thoughtful and complete understanding of your work once you have it yourself. That complete understanding can only be achieved by giving yourself the time to sit with your work and reflect on it. Sharing it immediately disrupts that process and may encourage you to use social media after you have posted during your studio time. Obligation to an online audience is like an invisible string. As social media users ourselves, we only engage with a post when the artist offers us access to their creative process. While we have the power to control when an audience has access to us and may choose to limit how often we post, there also needs to be trust in our audience. Your audience, those who value your work, will be there when you share something meaningful. There is no need to overextend yourself and share each time you have picked up your art tool or each time you have put it down. Trust that your audience will appreciate what you choose to offer in your own time. I'm between these 2 color cardstock paper. Here, this is more coral and this is more magenta. My taste would be the coral, but I'm going to go against my taste and pick the magenta just because the background is already coral.